Good afternoon to everybody, and thank you for being here. This performance is really something of a sort of introduction or an overview, you might say, of some of the ideas and some of the music that I've been playing in the last 2 years. It's just very light-hearted. There's some classical and some not classical. And I'm going to start off this afternoon's program with a couple of pieces which have been favorites. The first of which, The Harmonious Blacksmith by George Frederick Handel. Handel composed this the story, which is always, I've told this several times on the live stream, but it's such an interesting story. This idea of the harmonious blacksmith. The legend has that Handel, in his London days, when he was walking around London, suddenly was walking through the streets, and there was a rather intense afternoon shower storm with rain, and Handel had to run out of the street to escape the rain and being caught into this very large downpour, and found himself in a rather unusual place in a rather strange building, and then encountered a blacksmith in a blacksmith studio, and he was working with his fire and beating at his anvil. And Handel was so intrigued by this because the blacksmith was whistling a particular melody, and there was a little tune which was something like that. And Handel promptly went home and wrote it down, played through it a couple of times, and then found that he could use this as a basis to extemporize or improvise a number of subsequent variations around it. So the melody is forms the basis or foundation of a piece of music where it is frilly. There's some layers that are added on, and foster notes and left-hand patterns and right-hand patterns to keep the same shape of the melody, but increase some elements around it of you might say, decorative layers might be the best way to put it. Anyway, very exciting piece of music. Apparently this is not true at all, and this is absolute fiction. Handel never encountered any blacksmith. He wrote the piece of music, but the story is not true. Victorian music publisher thought this was a particularly attractive piece of music, and he realized that if he made up the story and put this attractive title to it, The Harmonious Blacksmith, it would sell a lot of copies. You know, an interesting story. Harmonious Blacksmith, this idea of Handel encountering this gentleman and this exotic tune, was much more interesting than the air and variations from the Suite No. 5 in E, as you can imagine. So it's just a fictitious story, but something that works very well. And straight after Handel, I'm going to play a very beautiful waltz, Opus 34 by Frédéric Chopin. finished playing, normally it's absolute silence. It's always the one thing that always astounded me about the live streams, is the silence after the music, in between the music. I'm going to play for you one of my own compositions. One of the great benefits and the one very positive support that I think came out of the live streams was through the interaction with the audience, you the audience, and a number of people, not only locally but also around the world, who interacted and who commented on Facebook, on YouTube, but also sent emails. And I think the biggest support, the biggest thing that I got out of it really was in the enthusiasm and the encouragement for me to create more of my own music. So I'm going to play for you a piece, one or two pieces in this afternoon, but the first of which is a very wonderful piece which I like a lot, and a lot of people have commented on it previously, a piece called Hilton Road, which refers, in my mind, from a set of 4 KZN landscapes, but it really deals with the road from the N3, from the highway to Hilton College, that Hilton Road stretch, and it seems to be a very, it's a magical trip. It's a very interesting trip, and a lot of interesting experiences have taken place along that road. It's that road towards Hilton College that you somehow know it's going to end up there. It always ends at Hilton College, which is usually the place of the festival and all these exciting events. The performances I've done at the Memorial Concert Hall there as well. But in fact, the very first concert, the very first public concert I played with an orchestra, I think when I was about 9 or 10 years old, was actually in that hall at Hilton College. So this sort of magical experience of going in the dark to this place far away down the road, which ends at Hilton College. There's no way you can't go anywhere else. You're either going there or you're not. It's a very pivotal experience, and I think in this piece, I think it captures something for many people, I think, who've been there to school for just these school years or school days, of that sense of comfort and hope, but also something about the somewhat melancholic and despairing experience it can be. Straight after that, I would like to play a very exotic and imaginative piece that also speaks of great atmosphere, The Sunken Cathedral by Claude Debussy. This piece really translates this image and this idea, the story of the cathedral off the coast of France, of legend has it, that once sunk beneath the waves, and at certain moments in dawn, certain days, one can, as said, perceive and hear the ringing of bells, the pealing of bells, the chanting of the monks, and the cathedral rises out of the water in all its majestic glory before it sinks back beneath the waves. very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm getting hooked. Everything all right?
Yep.
I hear you just despairing in the corner quietly.
I'm enjoying it.
Good, just check. It's quite a thing managing this stream and everything going on, and the music as well. Beautiful music, and it's a really wonderful piece of music, Debussy's Sunken Cathedral. I'd like to play for you one of the discoveries. There were various pieces of music and composers as well that I'd never heard of before. And with all these programs of the live stream series, I was constantly looking for new repertoire and trying to expand the repertoire and try and bring new ideas to the audiences that we're following. And one of the composers that I discovered, 18th century French composer, harpsichord composer by the name of Jacques Dufley, wrote quite a substantial amount of music, but there's one piece that I discovered when I was just listening to an album on iTunes, and this haunting refrain sort of caught my ear, and I went back and listened to it again and again. And one of those pieces that you just can't stop listening to. It's called La Putois, and it refers, he composed it probably inspired by one of the barristers from the French Revolution. So these are probably one of the people who didn't get to keep their head, you might say. They had their head chopped off possibly at some point. But Dufley wrote this in remembrance of him as a great man, and it has a certain mournful character, but a very there's a real catchiness. There's something very beautiful about it, the way it returns again and again, and then the music sort of dissolves and floats back into a watery atmosphere almost before it dissolves in its final melody. And then straight after that, two pieces by Edvard Grieg. Now my friend Maria, who's here this afternoon, visited a few months ago, in fact, the Bergen in Norway, where Grieg's museum, Grieg's house was, and very kindly brought me back a little glass. The glass is cleaner with Grieg's music printed on it, and this is Morgen, the morning song, which I'm going to play, which is printed on the music. Thank you, Maria, again, for a lovely gift. It's actually in my drawer where all my things are packed away, because my computer normally sits around the corner, so it's all packed away in that cupboard over there. I'll show it to you. I should have brought it up. But on my live stream, I revealed that this beautiful little microfiber glass, because I always have to clean my glasses, because I can never see them without them these days. And then also by Grieg, the very famous and very wonderful Wedding Day at Trollhaugen, a piece of music that he wrote to celebrate the anniversary. Interesting, just doing the research on the internet, reading about these pieces, and there's this wonderful thing on the internet, Google Translate, where you can choose what language you want to see something, whether it's an original Norwegian or German or English or French. And there was little article written about this piece, and it was in Norwegian, so it was translated into English, and it said Grieg wrote this piece as a memorial for his wedding. I thought, I'm sure memorial is not quite the right word to use in this translation. I think that means a memory or a celebration. A memorial is perhaps for something else, but that's lost in translation indeed. So this is La Putois, Morgen, and then the Wedding Day at Trollhaugen. Thank you so much. Thank you. Isn't it an exciting piece of music? Such colourful, exuberant, joyful memorial music for a wedding memorial. I'm going to end off with three pieces, which are a little bit contrasted, but going to add a nice element, I think, of change to the program. Another of my own compositions. This is a piece that I'm particularly fond of, and I think many people like. One of the 4 nocturnes that I wrote. It's originally for saxophone and piano, but it does work quite well on the piano version. This is the 3rd of the 4. It's a very beautiful, a very romantic melody, you might say. Even the Hardy-Dars are agreeing this afternoon. And straight after that, I'm going to move into the tango repertoire. First of all, the music of Astor Piazzolla, the contemporary, when I say contemporary, he died in the late 1990s. Astor Piazzolla, Argentine tango composer, and this is a piece of his called Oblivion, which is very touching. It really works beautifully, I think, on the piano. And then ending off with Braiero, which is a Brazilian melody composed by Ernesto Nazareth. And a lot of people have asked, sort of this Ernesto Nazareth, I've composed or played a lot of his music on these live streams, but he just writes, he was this pianist, Brazilian pianist at the beginning of the 20th century, and he wrote so many fascinating little Brazilian tangos. And though it's not an Argentine tango, it hasn't got that traditional tango rhythm that we associate with a tango. It's a different style of tango, different style of dance, and a different rhythm, sometimes known as a choro. And these pieces are just so well written for the piano. They're so inventive, they're so melodic, there's so many wonderful ideas and little nuances, and they always fit very well, and I think they provided a wonderful substance of light, melodic and entertaining music for these programs. So this is my own composition, the Nocturne number 3, followed by Oblivion and Braiero by Ernesto Nazareth. Braiero has been adopted by the Brazilian people somewhat as an unofficial national anthem. It's really become a very big, well, not even a hit, sort of part of the popular official culture in Brazil, Braiero. much. Thank you very much. Well, lovely to see you all. Thank you all for coming along this afternoon. I hope you've enjoyed that selection, a very varied selection from covering everything the piano is capable of, from 18th century harpsichord, French harpsichord music to my own contemporary music and some Brazilian tango and full music in between. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for everyone, for Leon, for the technical assistance, for everyone who's watching at home. I'm sure you actually, if all goes correctly, you'll be watching this on Wednesday evening. This is Wednesday evening now, just in case anyone missed it. It's actually my own fault. I double booked myself. I have a concert on Wednesday evening, and then someone pointed out that I am going to be in the Ambers and online live at the same time. So this is the first time we've recorded something in advance, but it's something that we can do. It's a new experience of a live audience. Thank you for our live audience this evening, or this afternoon at least, for participating and being part of the show. We feel free to wander around the garden, enjoy more tea and coffee with us if you'd like, and look forward to seeing you at one of our concerts in the near future. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Leon. What does it feel like to experience live music again?
Great.
After all those...
You have no idea.